What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. Now look, I'm behind on Kings of Napa, but you're gonna get last week's episode, and I will get caught up this week. But this is Kings of Napa season 1 episode 4. So yeah, I'm trying to work with this thing here. I am. So we start this episode off. We have Dana meeting up with his auntie, Melanie, I believe. And listen, I ain't figured out what her motive is. I mean, I guess she's just trying to get some sort of allies in the house. But she's, pepping him up and telling him how good he is and how, it's not a big deal that he lost the wine tasting. That it's just one little situation. But that, him and his sister are cool. And she said, I know what it feels like, to feel like you're always on the outside of your family. And he was like, do you know what it feels like for your mama to want to abort you? She was like, yeah, I don't quite know that feeling. But I do know the feeling of being on the outside looking in. She said, but I have an idea. He was like, what you got? So she's going to hook him up with the cover of a magazine called Assets Maker. Like the top 40 CFOs under 40. And so of course that's made him feel all better. And he is all on top of the world and rubbing it in everybody's face that he's going to be on the magazine cover. Now while this is going on, August is, celebrating the dessert wine, and they're coming up with names and all these other good things. And we find out that Dana and his girlfriend, Dana and his wife are still in the outs. He still ain't forgave her, honey. He is still mad at her, okay? And August tries to, make up with him as well, and he giving her the cold shoulder. He ain't talking to her either. Now we find out that Dana done got his PI friend to give him the goods on his sister. And he asked him, well, when you going to use this information I dug up on your sister? He was like, I'll use it when the time is right. So, okay. So we see, oh Lord, child, I can't remember the girl name last week. I can't remember the girl name now. Child, the illegitimate sister. She's starting her new job at the other, down to the new vineyards with the gay couple that she interviewed with last week. And while she's there, she finds out that they're actually being threatened as well. They're being extorted, and if they don't come up with $150,000, the blackmailer is threatening to poison their vines. And so she was like, wait a minute, y'all are being, blackmailed too? And so of course she hightails it over to the Kings to let them know what's going on. Now why is she going over there to tell them anything? I don't know. Because see, that's the petty in me. The petty in me would be like, hate it for you. Sucks for you, right? Now while this is going on, Christian is entertaining some boo thing running through the vineyards, bragging on the fact that this is his family and he rich and all of that. And of course he runs into the groundskeeper Otis, and Otis is not feeling it, okay? Otis gets nasty with him and, kind of snaps at him like, listen, I don't need you running through the grapes, messing up the grapes and stuff. Like, if you want to entertain your company, you need to do it somewhere else. Back at the main house, August is having his photo shoot for his magazine cover, and of course Mama is trying to still, kiss up to him. Wife is still trying to kiss up to him. And everybody's trying to make Dana feel good. And Dana is living his best life, taking his pictures for his for his magazine cover. And the person doing the story asked him if he wants to get, like, somebody else in the picture with him to try to show, some family bonding or, something like that. And he picks his aunt. Well, one, he mad at his mama and he mad at his wife, and two, his aunt was the one that got him the album. I keep saying album cover, the magazine cover. So it's kind of like, well, I kind of see why he would pick her. But then he decides that he's going to start throwing jabs at, he said, well, I would love to have my aunt who's traveled the world and done all these great things versus a homemaker, talking to his mother. Now see, she a better one than me, because I'd have popped him in his mouth. I don't care how old you are. I don't care there's a reporter sitting here. You ain't gonna keep disrespecting me in my own damn house. No, ma'am. Pam. Okay? So, of course, this is at this exact moment is when the illegitimate sister shows up. And the mama is like, what are you doing here? Because you're not respecting my boundaries. I told you and your mama not to be here, but both y'all are here. And she says, oh, well, you know, and of course, August is like, well, I hope she's here to apologize for choosing Dana over me in the wine tasting. And she was like, girl, ain't nobody got time for all of that, okay? She was like, I'm here to talk about the extortionists and let you know some information I found out. So, of course, mama is like, extortionists? What extortionists? And she said, oh, August didn't tell you about the extortionists? Oh, my bad. So, of course, now the mama is all upset because she's like, y'all lied to me, you know, and she runs off and tells them she'll talk to them when she's ready to talk to them. So, when she comes back in, the whole family is sitting there, including Melanie, is sitting there to talk to her about this extortionist. And Christian is mad because ain't nobody tell him. Mama's mad because ain't nobody tell her. And they finally get the whole story, and they're like, well, at this point, we don't know what to think. We don't know what to believe, because, hell, we don't know what secrets Daddy was holding. Like, every time we look up, it's something different. It's something new. And the mother was like, listen, I'm sick of secrets. You know, at this point, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of the secrets. Y'all need to let me know what's going on. Y'all need to keep me in the loop. Like, I'm not going to keep playing this game. Then Christian asked illegitimate sister for help with the vineyards. And she's like, I know you're not still asking me for help. Like, y'all fired me. Y'all won't give me my job back. And you still want to sit here and, you know, make up reasons like why I need to help you. Dana even went so far as to lie and say that he wanted to give her job back, but August wouldn't do it. Knowing good and daggone well, he was the main one that was against her getting her job back and, you know, supporting and defending the mama. Now, while this is going on, the private detective shows up, the guy that they told them was working security, and they have to admit to the mama that he's not security. He's really the private investigator. But what he found out was that Otis, the guy that runs the fields, he done bought himself an $80,000 yacht, and they think that he's the one. They also find out that he used to work for the other vineyard that's being extorted. And they found out that him and the father fell out before the father died, and he fell out with the guys at the other vineyard. So all the fingers are starting to point towards Otis. But August doesn't want to believe it. She thinks that Otis is a good guy and that he wouldn't do this to the family. She said, listen, let me get a little bit more time so we can do a little bit more investigation, and so that we, you know, figure out if it's really him, because I really don't want to accuse this black man of doing something if he ain't do it. So August goes to the other vineyard owners and let them know what information they have. And, you know, listen, we want to try to see if it's really Otis. Because, again, she doesn't believe it's Otis. Now, they don't want to really sit on it because they're like, listen, our payment is due tomorrow. And we really can't take the chances that they're going to poison the crops if we don't, you know, help her out. So August is sort of like frustrated. She's sort of at her wit's end. And she ends up calling Kelvin. Now, Kelvin was on the phone. And he's like, listen, I'm kind of in the middle of something right now. But, you know, can I, you know, do you need me? Do you need something? And she was like, no, just call me when you get a chance. So she starts going through his social media and finds out that not only is he still wearing his ring, but his wife is still wearing her ring as well. And I'm thinking to myself, duh, like, you'd never take a man's word for it that it really is what it is. But anyway, later on in the episode, because I'm just go ahead and knock this out because it's just stupid. Later on, well, no, let me say this part and then we'll talk about it. So illegitimate sister ends up helping out little brother Christian, tutors him on what he needs to know about the vines and all that good stuff. Now later on in the episode, August does meet up with Kelvin, and you know, she asked him, she's like, listen, what's really going on? Like, are you really going through this divorce, or is there something else going on? And he was like, no, I really am going through a divorce, because he was all on his phone and stuff. And she was like, why don't you just call who that is? And he was like, I do have a child. It's my son. You know, he said, listen, all of this is new for me. Dating with a child, you know, this is new for me. He said, but I assure you the divorce is absolutely happening. And so she said, well, this is new for me too. I've never dated a guy that has kids. She said, but are we dating? Like, is that what we're doing? And he was like, well, you know, yeah, but I got to take it slow. He said, we're not kids anymore. And it's too much at stake. You know, I can't be playing these games and playing around. And so we get to know more background story about when they were kids, they were dating. He was in foster care. Her family got him out of foster care, got him in a good home. Her family even offered to pay for him to go to college, but he didn't want to take their money. He wanted to stand on his own because he never wanted to feel like he was only dating August for what they could do for him, or that he was taking advantage of August. And so he was like, you know, I want us to try this again, but again, I got to make sure that this is real, you know. So anyway, that's that. So it's the next day, you know, Dana had to call off the rest of the photo shoot because they had the emergency that went down. So it's the next day and they finish up the pictures, and Dana's taking the pictures with his Aunt Melanie. But Melanie looked like she's sick. It looked like there's something going on with her. She panting and sweating, and child, I don't know what's going on. So I'm like, Lord, they're going to add something else into the damn storyline, child. Anyway. So it's the next day, and the family, you know, the whole family is sitting there being interviewed by the reporter, and you know, they're all being nice to, you know, Dana, and they're saying nice things, but they start throwing these little quips at each other. Y'all know, they started making little comments under their breath and making little smart moves. So finally, you know, the mother was like, listen, can we take a break? Because the reporter's picking up on some of this. She's like, you know, they're like, can we take a break? And she said, sure, you know, let's take a 10-15 minute break. And as soon as she leaves the room, they start going at it. And in my mind, I'm thinking, y'all really need to make sure that she is nowhere around before y'all. They telling all the family secrets, all the family business. They talking about the extortion. They talking about the abortion. They talking about all of this stuff, right? Baby, she comes back in the room. She'd been running the video camera the whole time and wouldn't give them the tape back. Now, later on in the episode, she comes in there. She mad as hell talking about you called the board on me. They're threatening me, and they're doing this and they're doing that. All because y'all don't want y'all little family exposed. And Mama was like, yeah, I called it she said, she talking about some you 1%ers in here. And she was like, yeah, I called in a favor to a friend. Because what you're not going to do, and she used the old term, she called her a muckraker. Y'all don't know what a muckraker is, y'all better go Google it, okay? You go Google a muckraker. But she said, y'all will not be exploiting my family on my watch, okay? So after she leaves, Dana was like, you did that for me? No, she did it for the family. What you mean she did it for you? She did it for everybody. But, she sits down and talks to him, and she said, listen, look, when the doctor first told me, you know, that the baby I was going to have, yes, I thought about having an abortion. Because I didn't want you to have to deal with society and what the ridicule of society. But it had nothing to do with whether I loved you or not. And I've never regretted my decision, you know. And then they talk about some interview where he felt like the family sabotaged the interview because they set him up to be embarrassed and all that. Child, stupid. I don't know. I don't care. So then Melanie runs up to the sister to try to talk to her, and Vanessa is like, listen, I don't have nothing to say to you. I'm like, you keep coming around, I keep telling you I don't have nothing to say to you. I don't know why you keep insisting and pushing yourself into my situation, okay? But she says, you know, what more secrets do you hold? What more do you know about my husband that I don't know about my husband? Because you seem to know way more about my husband than I do. So she said, well, listen, what I do know is that he was worried about the money, and he was worried about y'all's safety to the point where he even had developed an escape plan for y'all to get out the country. I'm like, what? And that's exactly what she said. She said, what? She said, go check his cigar boxes. So, of course, Vanessa goes running back to the house and starts going through the man's. I guess he had a cigar box collection because she went through about 4 or 5 cigar boxes before she found the right one. And it was a cigar box full of fake passports and money. Child. I said, y'all just keep making this shit more and more and more ridiculous. But okay. Anyway. Dana is getting sick of waiting because he's like, listen, Otis is our man. Otis did it. We can't keep sitting on it. We can't take that chance because at the end, it's going to end up ruining our business. Now, Auntie Yvette then told August, you need to put Dana in his place. Y'all clearly have 2 different management styles, but at the end of the day, you are in charge, and he can't keep undermining you, and he can't keep telling you what he is and what he ain't going to do, and how he going to listen or how he not going to listen. You need to put your foot down. But what ends up happening is they end up getting another phone call. August ends up getting another phone. He ends up getting another phone call saying that Otis has an account that has, a bunch of money in it that's unaccounted for. And so he says, look, that's it. We calling the police. So the police show up down to the winery to go arrest Otis. Otis sees the police and he takes off running. And so August admits to Dana that maybe he was right and she was wrong and she should have listened to him, because Otis definitely is looking guilty. Why would he run if he didn't do nothing wrong? So then we see Christian show up to help the harvesters pick the grapes, because that's one of the things that, Half Sister told him was, you got to stop separating yourself from them. Like, you got to show up, you got to help, you got to stand side by side. But he has to go back into the office to find his notes, because he needs his notes to know how to pick the grapes, I guess. And while he's in there, he finds Half Sister's book bag. Oh, that's the other thing we found out. Somebody did poison the vines over to the other vineyard, right? The extortionists poisoned their vines. Well, we get back, he's going through, he finds Half Sister's book bag, and it's full of the same poison that was used to poison the vineyard. So of course he's like, what the hell done happened here? Anyway, that's what it is. Y'all let me know what y'all think, child. I will get caught up, honey. Talk to y'all later. Peace.